what's up, everybody? Welcome back to UFC Roundup. Feels like it's been a while, Michael.
Feels like it's been forever.
You're back in your log cabin, looking
Yeah.
good. You're out of Europe. You had your beautiful honeymoon.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't talked since. How did everything go?
Man, it was great. I had a good time. I mean, hanging out with you in Paris was a blast, of course. And, yeah, but it was a lot of fun, dude. Got to visit some family, ate a lot of good food, drank a lot of good beer. Looking forward to doing it again, Paul. How's the return coming along? How is the return of, I don't want to say the Irish Dragon, because are we transitioning to the Iron Lung? Is that what I
for right now, we'll say Iron Lung for fun today.
Okay.
And it's going, it's going. I'm just training, right? I told you at the end of this, there could be no fight. The UFC may not even want to match me up, but hey, I'm back in the USADA testing pool for a couple months. I did finally get tested. They showed up at my house the other day. And the guy's like, well, we still got to do this. I was like, oh, great. Yeah. It's 7:30 in the morning on like a Saturday. So all this stuff that you hear about UFC fighters complaining about these guys showing up at wrong times. They did.
You're like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I don't want to get woken up in the morning.
Yeah, no thanks. But things are good. The Eagles lost to the Jets. That always
painful.
Sucks. Painful. The Phillies are playing to get in the World Series. They're up one game, so that's fun. I wish these games were not at 8:00 at night on the East Coast.
That's tough.
Sleep is wrecked.
Just move over here.
I know that's a good reason to, right? I can watch sports much earlier.
There you go.
But Michael, 294s this weekend, and it was an awesome card. It's still an awesome card, but everything has changed at the top of the bill. The co-main event, including the main event, has shifted. Volkanovski jumps in there again on 12 days' notice, I believe. The man was about 181 pounds, by the way, when he took this matchup. What are your thoughts? Does he have a chance? Does he have a chance to go out there and upset him on short notice? Did he gain enough confidence in the first meeting to make adjustments in the rematch?
1,000% yes. And Dean Thomas said something really good this weekend where he said he believes Volk's going to win because now that Volk got a feel for him, he knows he knows what adjustments to make. And there's nobody in the UFC. It's him and John Jones, not just on the pound-for-pound GOAT list, but in terms of highest fight IQ.
Yeah,
we have to respect Volkanovski's fight IQ, and we know. We know people amongst the circle of MMA, the people that are really in that really know how good Volkanovski is. That get the people that get to see him in the training room, the people that are a little bit closer to him than the general public. We all believe that he's going to make the adjustments to win this fight, and I do believe that he has been preparing for this match. He said after he fought Yair Rodriguez, once he heals up, he's training for October to fight Charles Oliveira or Islam Makhachev. And he's going to approach both of those fights eerily similar, maybe more sub-defense on the Charles Oliveira side, and with Islam, obviously, wrestling defense. But I do believe he's in shape. While he may weigh 181 pounds, I do believe he's been preparing for this moment, and 5 rounds will never be a problem for Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? I was watching his little documentary, and I was obviously watching Countdown and Embedded and all that stuff today before we did the show. And it's interesting, right? Because he's a guy that is always fit. Even if he's a little heavy, he knows how to lose the weight, but he's always fit. So what do you do with 12 days? And I was trying to think about how he would break down that short of a camp, right? I'll bet the first 2 or 3 days, he just hammered those kind of Shark Tank type rounds where you saw him sparring, grappling, just getting the body, abusing it for as quick a time as you can, then like a taper period, and then it's just like, all right, we revved the engine, now let's go. We've done these 5 rounds so many times. I'm so curious to see how I can't make a prediction, but dude, I think he's going to do well on that short of notice. I just think he's that kind of guy that rises to these occasions. But Islam, I was watching some of the highlights too, and his stand-up, he hurt Volk in that fight a couple times too, so I'm interested to see how it plays out in the striking exchanges between these two as well. We know there's going to be plenty of grappling and scrambling between them, but I'm curious to see who can hurt who first on the feet.
Yeah, and I think that Volk is at such an advantage because I'm going to sound like I'm just on Volk's nuts right now because I'm just praising the guy, but for him, they're this big. I'm sure that they probably drag behind him, but for Islam, he's preparing for Charles Oliveira, and I'm sure that he works with the same guys. He's he seems like he doesn't really bring in any new teammates. I think Islam works with just the same guys. But when you're preparing for Charles Oliveira, it's a stark contrast from training for Volkanovski. I mean, let's just look at the size difference. You're going against a guy that's around 6 foot, grappler, not a lot of takedown defense, super dangerous on the feet, makes the takedowns much more available because of the way Charles comes in, where Volkanovski, smaller, power pellet, good movement, super fast. Like, so to make that change, I feel like that puts Islam at a slight disadvantage. But Islam is, that he's going to make adjustments as well. Yeah. But the difference is, like, he hasn't had his sights set on Islam or on Alex the way that Alex has had his sights set on him. Like, I'm sure he's moving on to the next fight, where Volkanovski's probably training for this fight, but in the back of his mind, thinking about the adjustments he's going to make when he earns his next shot against the lightweight champ. So, and Paul, like, you fought a main event on 5 days' notice. I mean, are you saying that the way that you believe Volkanovski approached this main event is the same way that you did, like rev the motor for a day or two and then focus on the cut?
Yeah, that's all we did. I mean, I got the call, I guess, on like Sunday, and it was decided, I think, on Monday of fight week. And by the time I actually had the thing booked, it was like Tuesday, and I was leaving for the week. But I got the call. I went and immediately hit like 5 or 6 hard rounds with my buddy Ryan Cafaro and just smashed Thai pads to see if I had the energy in me to even take the fight. We hadn't taken the fight quite yet. And I was like, all right, I think I can do this, even on short notice, because I was training for the triathlon. Then when I got out to Vegas, I got with Duke and Eric Nixick, and we just smashed pads again. I did a ton of grappling and like escapes from bad situations with Dan Ige. And then that was it. We rested up and we cut weight. It was like 2 days of work. That's it. And I went 5 rounds. And
you did a strong 5 rounds, not just like,
this is different. Obviously, it's pay-per-view main event, Abu Dhabi. But luckily it's not, I don't think it's as far for Volk. How far of a travel is that from? I don't know. It's still far, but it's a lot to take on against a guy like Islam, who's just crazy. And I think what I like about Islam, before we move on to talking about the co-main event switch up, the thing about Islam is how he's handling it, right? Saying him and Habib are like, listen, it doesn't matter who we're facing. We're supposed to be the baddest man on the planet. We're supposed to be the baddest lightweight. We take on all comers. So I love the attitude that there wasn't even a second thought about it. He's better than him, and he'll be better than him again. So I love that approach. But co-main, dude.
Oh, dude, another one. My God.
Costa comes out and talks about this surgery stuff. What's going through his head? I know he says he's preparing, and we see footage of him trying to fight through it. But you know that if you say that and you show documentation and proof that you just had elbow surgery, then it's going to get infected. You're going to get pulled regardless. What was the thought process here behind Costa?
I hate to say it, but like, look, Costa's as tough as they come. If you watch the guy fight, he's an absolute savage. Like, look at his fights with Yoel Romero. Like, I'm not discrediting his toughness, but what I am going to discredit is you've been in the UFC long enough to know if you tell them you're having a really bad weight cut, they're going to pull you from the fight. If you tell them you had surgery 2 weeks before the fight, they're going to pull you from the fight. Like, you've been around the block long enough to know how this works. So if you really wanted to fight, why the hell would you post pictures of you out of surgery? Like, you should be trying to mask this. Like, and for Costa, it's like, I don't know. Like, are you trying to find a way to give you like a crutch, or like a built-in excuse? Like, oh, yeah, he beat me, but everybody saw that I had surgery before the fight. Like, was that why he was putting it out there? Was he finding a way out of his fight? Did he want sympathy? I don't know, Paul, but all I know is the times that I've been injured before fights, like when I broke my foot 10 days before the Anthony Pettis fight, I didn't post a picture of my x-ray to show the world, like, I'm going to fight this fight, even though I have a broken foot. Like, you don't do that. It's just not what you do. You're a fighter. We go into these fights compromised, and we don't, I mean, usually, like, if you want to reveal it, you do it after the fact. Whether you win or lose, that's on you. But like, either way, I don't want to spend much time bitching about the fact that Paulo Costa pulled himself from this fight, because now we have Kamaru Usman, the former lightweight champ, or the former welterweight champion, the former pound for pound GOAT, stepping in up a weight class against the boogeyman, a guy that nobody wants to fight in Khamzat Chimaev. And if you would have told me, Paul, 2 years ago that Khamzat Chimaev and Kamaru Usman are going to be fighting for a number one contender match against Sean Strickland. I would say I want what you're smoking. Like I never would have guessed this in a million years. Like it's crazy that this. Dude, I saw him in Milan walking around. We were walking by the Rolex store and I saw him in Milan when we were on our honeymoon. And I'm like, this guy's jumping in there at UFC 294. Like, that's just crazy.
Who did you see? You broke up there for a second.
Oh, sorry. I saw Kamaru in Milan when we were on our honeymoon. Like, that was what? That was like
a few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago. Yeah, like a month ago. And you're jumping. I mean, look, Kamaru's a guy that stays in shape. He's not a guy that lets himself go. If you see him, he's absolutely jacked year round. But that's just crazy to me. He's another one of those guys. Like, Kamaru has confidence. He has skills. He's got like a 96.7 takedown defense rate, which that's really going to come into play this fight. And what intrigues me, Paul, is does Khamzat Chimaev come at Kamaru Usman the same way he does all of his opponents? Right out the gates, blazing hot.
If he does, is it a problem or a mistake for him? Because Kamaru is ready for that. He's going to be sitting back. He's confident in his takedown defense. If he lands a big right hand and can stun, we saw Gilbert Burns hurt him. You got to be, Kamaru and Usman is teammates with Gilbert. They fought each other. He knows all about him, ins and outs. To see him go and battle him that way, I feel like he knows he knows some things. I feel like he really trusts in how he matches up in that fight. Otherwise, you don't take that fight. And also now with middleweight shifting, with Strickland in there and Izzy and taking a break, it's the perfect time for Kamaru to jump up to middleweight and try his hand there, because those guys were buddies. You could tell he didn't really want to do that. So now what an opportunity for Kamaru to shake up the middleweight division like crazy. He knows it. It's a huge opportunity. And hey, let's be honest. I'm sure he's getting paid well to go and do it.
Oh, dude, he's getting paid very well to go and do it. And there's a great storyline if he wins. There's a great storyline if he wins is Sean Strickland gets another rematch. He gets to rematch Kamaru. Like Kamaru kind of piss pounded him a little bit when they fought years ago, but Sean Strickland's a way different fighter than he was then. Same with Kamaru, but on the other side of that, Khamzat Chimaev could find himself in a title fight. The only thing that I find concerning is he gets a number one contender fight. Let's say he wins the title over Sean Strickland. Do we only get to see him fight once a year? Like that's my biggest concern, because Kamaru, you call him, he'll fight. He'll fight anybody. Like he was one of the most active champions we've had in a long time. And I could give these guys their praise all day long, but pretty sure we got 5 rounds to get to.
We got 5 rounds, man. We got to do 5 rounds. Cody, we got 5 rounds.
Let's go. 5 rounds, baby.
All right, Michael.
You lead the dance on this one.
I haven't even looked at any of these yet.
I haven't either. Going in blind. You go ahead first.
All right, future-based question. If Alex Volkanovski takes Makhachev to another competitive 5 round and loses, will Volk's legacy be overshadowed by these 2 losses at lightweight? Does Islam go double champ at welterweight next, or is he back at Charles? Good questions. Good questions. I'll start. As far as Volk's legacy, I still think having the cojones to step in on notice like this, to battle somebody like Islam, even if he does another competitive job, I don't think it tarnishes his pound for pound status. I think he still yet again proves that these 2 are top 3 pound for pound greats, or top 5 at least. And I think if he continues to dominate the featherweight division the way he has, I think it just shows you how damn good he is, that he was that heavy, 12 days notice. He comes in and he's still competitive. Even if he doesn't lose, even if he doesn't win, I still think it doesn't tarnish. And as far as the other fight, man, I think it all depends on how it shakes out on Saturday on where Islam goes next. If he dominates, goes out there and just absolutely dominates Volkanovski this time around, then, if he calls out the welterweight, maybe he waits around, but I hope not. I don't want to muddy it up yet. I think he should stay, beat some guys, beat Charles again, or see who else emerges as a potential contender. What do you think?
I'm with you on the Volkanovski question. I don't think that it tarnishes his legacy, because look, he's still absolutely running through guys at 145 pounds. Like really, he's improving every fight. I just don't think that if this tarnishes their legacy, I would really question their education and their credentials in terms of having an opinion in mixed martial arts, because going up on 10 days notice to rematch a guy that you arguably beat. And even if he got finished, let's just say he gets finished, I don't think it tarnishes his legacy at all. He stepped in on 10 days notice against a guy that's in route to follow the great Khabib Nurmagomedov and potentially be at the top of the pound for pound list someday. And for the question with Islam going up, lightweight's too competitive. I think there's too many fights here for him. Justin Gaethje's waiting in the wings on the heels of the BMF win. Charles Oliveira's right there. You got
maybe Charles gets skipped, huh? If he goes out and wins and Gaethje's in line, and
I just think that it's Colby. I mean, I know that Islam's talked about it, but to me, I think Colby Covington is angling to fight Islam next if he beats Leon Edwards, because he doesn't want to fight guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like, look, Colby's good, but you look at the way he fights, you look at the way he picks his matches, like, he's smart. He would rather fight an Islam Makhachev than a Shavkat Rakhmonov. Yeah, that's just the fact. I mean, that's the way I look at it. But I don't want to bitch too much about Colby, or else I'm going to get the MAGA gang beating down my door. Round 2.
You'll get somebody knocking.
Who do you think has a better shot at an upset, Alex or Usman?
Ooh.
I feel crazy saying this. Like, I can make picks right now, so I'll tell you one of my picks. I do think that this feels so weird saying this. I don't think Kamaru Usman wins. I never, in the last, I don't know how many years, I've never said that. I have always thought Kamaru was going to win his fights.
Yeah.
But I think that Volkanovski, just because he's got a feel for Islam, that he's been in there with him, that he's had this matchup on his mind a lot longer. I know Kamaru really clamored to be the guy to fight Hamzat at 294. Before Hamzat was booked to fight, he was really throwing his hat in the ring to fight him. I just think that Volk's got a better chance just because he's been in there with him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's damn.
Isn't that weird that, like, I just picked against Kamaru Usman? I just never, like, that just is weird.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I agree. I think, I just think since Volk's been in there before, he's got the better chance of getting the upset, even though you're right. That is crazy to think about. Stepping in against Islam and you've got a better shot. But I know that Chimaev has looked, I've been watching some of his videos and his training stuff. I think that dude's hungry to get in there and hurt somebody. I just think he's got to be careful and be a little bit more dialed than he is. I think he's got to understand you've got a dominant former champ on your hands, a guy with tons of experience who's very strong, very good a wrestler, and he's got power in his hands. So, yeah, but I agree, Volk. All right.
Round 3, but before, I'll touch on this later. You go ahead.
If the Usman versus Chimaev winner gets to fight Strickland for the middleweight title next, who should Dricus du Plessis fight next, or should he wait until he gets his title shot? Good question as well. These are good questions.
These are great questions.
Do you have thoughts on this one?
I think for Dricus, I mean, with Izzy saying that he's going to take a break, obviously that would be the no-brainer. Like, I would say Izzy and Dricus, but man, he's just kind of in a tough spot given that.
Wow. See the rankings here.
Yeah, I mean, he just beat Whitaker, who's just been the guy at the top of the heap. And you don't want to roll the dice fighting a guy like Costa. It's like you can't trust that he's going to show up.
Cannonier.
I like the idea of a Jared Cannonier fight. I don't know if Jared Cannonier has a fight right now. I'm pretty I thought he did.
I heard he might. I don't know if it's
he's fighting Dolidze, right? He's fighting Roman Dolidze. Right?
Okay, you heard that too. Yeah, I thought he was fighting Dolidze.
Yeah, so I think for Dricus, unfortunately, he's in a position where he's just going to have to sit and wait. He's going to have to sit.
He might, yeah.
And that's unfortunate because he could have been the guy fighting Izzy in September, and he could have been the guy with the middleweight title right now.
If he wants to fight, he could also see what happens with Brendan Allen and Paul Craig and fight the winner of that to see who's if he really wants to stay busy, and not get overlooked again, because now he's got to be careful too that he doesn't want to get overlooked like he did here. If he sits and waits, he still may not get that fight, and then now it's a long time later, and now you got to fight anyway. So I would start eyeballing some guys that he's interested in now and maybe put some feelers out if he starts to think like, you know what, I feel like it's too long of a wait, because it's definitely it's a poker game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got
so much luck involved. There's a lot. I don't think people realize how much luck is involved with getting a title fight. It's like, even look at Tony Ferguson. Like, even I know he got into a few title fights and things had happened where, he got injured, Khabib got injured, but I mean,
Yeah, dude, you got to look at guys' careers and what fights fall off. Like, I mean,
Mm.
not that I was anywhere near a title shot, but I mean, I lost James Vick as an opponent a couple times. I had to move up to welterweight. Then you break your arm there. Then you're out a year and you're waiting to fight. Then you got to climb back. You know how it is. You lose
Yeah.
one fighter, you switch weight class. Fighters get derailed so easily by stuff.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, when
the other thing too is a big part of Drickus getting a title fight was, I mean, yeah, he's winning, but also the
Fighting
feud
Izzy.
with Izzy. Like Izzy was kind of the guy that was really kind of roping him in there. Like now with Izzy not holding the title,
you're just another contender. Yeah,
you're just
you're a
another
top
contender.
But
Yeah,
you
a
can
damn
definitely
good fighter at that. But we know what we like. We like to see bad blood. That's just, we all like to see grudge matches.
So good question. These are getting me thinking about the landscape here. But
Yeah.
all right, let's get the next one. So yeah, we're not sure. He might have to wait. He might be screwed.
Do you have access to some production companies to film Gaethje in case Volk wins, knowing he would have to wait that much longer for another title shot? And what do you think he'd break first in his house should that happen? I think he'd break his bong first.
Yeah. maybe
Honestly, I don't know. I think Justin, yes, he would be upset, and I understandably so, because it's hard enough to get one title fight, and he got to fight with Habib, he got to fight with Charles. Like he's like,
you just fight Poirier again. Say, all right, we'll run it back again.
It's like, and for him, who do you put him in there with? Like that's another guy that's kind of been around the block and fought everybody. Like there's really not a lot of options out there for Justin Gaethje. So does he wait? Do they, make him and Charles fight each other again? I don't know, man. I don't know what I would do if I was Justin Gaethje. I think I would almost bet that he would wait. I honestly kind of have a feeling that he would wait because it's like he's smart. He knows, he knows the luck involved in getting not one, not two, but three. And it's luck and success. Like he earned this third shot for sure. Turned around Rafael Fiziev.
And he's done so well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He double bonuses all the time. Yeah. He's probably got a great contract. For him, it would just make sense. Yeah. And the way he fights and the style that he fights at.
And then where he's at in his career. He's my age. He's 35. Like, he's not some young spry guy anymore, Still tough as shit though.
But taking that rest for his style is never a bad thing either to go and all right. Next one.
That's a tough situation to be in.
There's lots of these, man.
House Cat, our unofficial third host.
Yeah, I know. We should talk to him.
We should bring him on, dude.
Become part of the show. I say he because I know who this real person is behind House Cat who watches MMA.
Well, if he comes on, he's got to bring the cat.
Yes, well, that's a no-brainer. What's one movie / album, play, or TV show that someone recommended to you that was so bad that the only proper way to process the awfulness of the art was to do this? Cheers. And I'm not sure what.
I think it's a angry picture of the cat.
Oh yeah.
What's a bad movie recommendation? Hey, babe, where are you? I think there was like a scary movie called Rendezvous or something that somebody recommended. Like, this is so scary, and I was like, sweet. Like, I haven't seen a good scary movie in a long time, and we watched it. We're like, this was the dumbest movie I have ever seen. Like, it was crap. It was crap. I'm pretty sure it was called Rendezvous, something of that sort. Something where they this guy had like a rental house, and there was like some like tomb inside of it downstairs, and there's some weird I don't know. Wow. It was crap. It was total shit. Sorry for swearing, Cody.
I just was recommended on something by Netflix or something the other day with Ashling. We watched this movie about the Mummy, and it was like a remake from like a 1990s movie. And I wanted to punch the screen because we watched the whole thing. Absolutely awful. Michael, it's time for final thoughts. We got to get out here. Our man Cody's got to get on a dang flight to Abu Dhabi as well as me. I'm out of here.
I'm bummed I'm not going with you guys. I love some Abu Dhabi, dude. Miss that place.
Fight Island, baby. I'm off again. 14 hours ahead of me. Still got to pack my bag. So
yeah,
2 nights before this weekend.
My final thought is, guys, remember this pay-per-view is at an earlier start time. This is not regular time for the pay-per-view. So make sure you tune in to go on ESPNplus.com. Make sure you check the times because it's not the regular start time for the main card at 7 p.m. It's going to be a lot earlier. So make sure you check the times so you don't miss the action.
Check
Tune
the
in
time,
next
send us
week.
your question. Check in next time. We'll break everything down. All right, we're off to Abu Dhabi. Michael's going to go and enjoy his log cabin. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.